He's fucking looking my way and pointing something. He's fucking scaring me.
No, he's not a Sasquatch, eh?
I don't know. Can't fucking tell with the camera. That's not the stop.
Well, I don't see no moose down there.
But as it stood up and started to move, the more they watched it, it became clear that this figure was different. Even from that distance, this thing is massive. Much, much larger than any average person. I'm not sure what it is, but this is an intriguing clip. The terrain and the conditions made it hard to get close to or to even tell what they were looking at. But whatever it wasn't something they were prepared to find that day. This Trailcam image starts off like thousands of others do. Two deer quietly standing in the foreground. But it's what's behind them that has caught everyone off guard. And you can put me squarely in that category. I mean, this thing, a strange figure further back in the frame. I mean, it almost looks like a child in a costume, but the longer you look, let's just say the less that theory holds up. The hands are massive, far too large for a child. And the proportions, they're all just off. Another weird part that a commenter mentioned is that if it were just a person, you'd expect the deer to react. But they don't. They're looking at him, they stay completely still, they're calm, almost unaware. That's kind of what has people speculating. Juvenile Sasquatch? Some type of other creature we don't even know about? Whatever it is, one thing's clear. I have a lot more questions. In March of this year, a hiker stumbled across an old, weathered camera deep in the Oregon woods. Curious, he took it home and had the film developed. What showed up on the roll left him stunned. One frame in particular captured what looks like a face. Part human, part something else. Experts who've weighed in say the texture and proportions don't match a mask or model. Instead, the face has a strange mix, almost monkey-like but with unmistakably human qualities. And here's where it gets interesting. Oregon has a long history of Bigfoot sightings, especially during the 60s and 70s. Even today, fresh reports continue to trickle in. So what exactly did this old camera capture? An escaped zoo animal? Or possibly something that's been hiding in those forests for decades? In September of 2024, two friends set out on a peaceful canoe trip across Lake Ashigan. Midway through the day, they decided to pull ashore and check out a nearby trail, just to explore, snap a few photos, stretch their legs. But as they wandered deeper into the forests, things took a strange turn.
Should we get... What? What? Oh! Did you hear that? Dude, that's like knocked... That's knock. Something's knocking, dude. That's not a woodpecker. What is that? Do you have your camera? I can't see anything. I can't see it.
Look at the tree.
Whoa, oh, whoa. Dude, is that a bear? Diz, is that a bear? Get your camera. Come here.
They began hearing odd sounds, snaps, low thuds, and movement in the brush. At first, they assumed it might be a bear. Then they saw it.
I can't see it. Can you see it? I don't see anything.
Look at the size of that thing!
Dude, that's not a bear! That's not a bear! That's not a bear! Oh!
A tall, dark figure moving quickly, standing upright between the trees. Later that night, they reviewed their footage in slow motion, and there it was, a large black silhouette gliding through the trees. Its movement too fast and too fluid for a person in hiking gear. They didn't realize it in the moment, but they may have just captured something truly unexplainable on camera. Deep in the forest of Canada, a lone hiker captured something he still can't explain. While scanning the woods with his camera, he suddenly felt a shift, like something was watching him. In the distance, partly blocked by trees, stood a figure. At first his heart dropped. It looked like a bear, massive with thick black fur. But as he zoomed in, something didn't sit right. The head was off, less bear-like, more human, almost ape-like. And that's where the mystery deepens. Because Canada doesn't have any native ape species. No gorillas, no chimpanzees, nothing that fits what he recorded. The creature didn't move though. It simply stared back. I don't know. Judging by its proportions and how it stood among the trees, some believe it may have been a juvenile Bigfoot. Whatever it was, it didn't behave like any animal he knew, and he wasn't sticking around for a second look. In May of 2008, a man went out geocaching near the Widowmaker Trail, a remote area known for its rugged terrain and eerie silence. In the distance, moving slowly between the trees, was a massive figure. He pulled out his camera and managed to capture a short clip before the footage abruptly cut off. Later, he uploaded the video online and asked viewers what they thought. The responses were quick. Many believed it was genuine, one of the better unexplained sightings caught on camera. But what followed was nothing. The man never posted again. No replies, no follow-ups, no additional footage. It was as if he vanished from the conversation entirely. To this day, the video remains online, but the person behind it and the truth of what he saw remains a mystery. This clip's been circulating for a while, but not in this kind of quality. A solo hiker was deep inside Conca National Forest around 2:30 in the morning. The trail was quiet, no signs of wildlife, just him and the trees. But as he passed a dense wall of foliage, he heard a sound. Just one step. Right behind him, the crack of a branch. He turned, and that's when he saw it.
I don't know what that is.
The figure stood taller than him, easily over 6 feet, silent, still, half hidden in the dark. He raised his phone to capture a quick glimpse just before it vanished. It never showed itself again, but it didn't have to. And that, folks, is why your parents have always said that nothing good happens after midnight. Back in 2012, a dirt biker set out across a snowy stretch of forest. Helmet cam rolling, the trail ahead was wide open and silent. Just snow, trees, and the hum of the engine. But then something caught his eye. Up ahead, standing just off the trail, was a tall, dark figure. Upright, still, and not quite shaped like anything you'd expect to see out there. At first glance, it seemed too big to be a person, and too human to be any known animal. He kept riding, unsure if what he was seeing was real or if his mind was playing tricks on him. But in the final seconds of the clip, as he stared intently at the figure, it shifts, turns, and calmly walks out of frame. Needless to say, he sped off. Now, some say it's one of the clearest Bigfoot sightings ever. Others chalk it up to a clever hoax or a simple misidentification. Oh yeah, what could it be? Well, one thing's for sure, he caught something that day. The only question is what. This image is awesome, and it's making its rounds again. Originally taken back in 1986 by a Reddit user's grandfather. Grandpa was out bird watching near the Red River in western Oklahoma when he snapped a photo of the landscape. And the camera and this photo were near and dear to him because of the potential to what it might have caught. Many believe it shows a Bigfoot-like creature, mid-stride. Others think there's some type of trickery going on here. The problem is the original wide-frame version of the image seems to have vanished. Only this crop shot remains. And without the full context, it's nearly impossible to tell what we're really looking at. I don't feel like it's that impossible to tell. I know what I'm looking at. This photo was recently shared by Mark Anders. Red flag. The story has it Anders set up a trail camera deep in the woods, tucked into a patch of brush angled toward a quiet clearing. And that's when something unexpected stepped into frame. The image shows a large hulking figure, broad shoulders, long limbs, and what looks like thick fur across its arms and back. Its posture, slightly hunched, and the movement caused a bit of motion blur. Unfortunately, there's no second photo. Still, when you look at it, it doesn't quite resemble a person, and it's not any known animal. So what do you think? A legitimate glimpse of Bigfoot? Or some more of Mark Anders' tomfoolery? Perched quietly on his deer stand, a hunter was waiting, watching the woods like he had many times before. But this time, something felt off. It was eerily quiet.
What in the world is that thing? Didn't look like a deer.
Through the trees, he spotted movement. It wasn't a deer, but he couldn't tell what it was. It was walking upright, tall, broad-shouldered, and completely covered in brown hair or coveralls. The closer it came, the clearer it became. This thing was big. As the hunter raised his scope to get a better look, a howl cut through the woods. Low, long, and unmistakable. Whether it was a call or a warning, he didn't stick around to find out. This next clip was sent in by a viewer named Eric from British Columbia. Hey Lincoln, love the channel. I've been watching for a few years and never expected to be writing in with a story of my own. But after what I saw this weekend, I haven't been able to shake it. I need to get this off my chest. This happened Saturday night at my cabin out in the Cascade foothills. Pretty remote, it's surrounded by dense woods, no nearby neighbors. I've spent countless weekends out there and it's always been quiet. Until now. I guess it was about 12:45 a.m. I just put another log on the fire and was getting ready to turn in when I heard something. Like footsteps, but not on the ground. It was above me on the roof. It was quick, like something sprinting across the shingles. It was making thuds, but also kind of scratchy, if that makes sense. Maybe 3 or 4 solid strides, then silence. I froze. At first I thought it might be a raccoon or something, but these steps were too heavy and too spaced out. The next animal I thought of was a deer, and I'm not sure why that popped in my head, because I know one couldn't get on my roof. But whatever it was moved like it had long legs. I grabbed a flashlight and ran to the front window, the direction this thing was heading. And that's when I saw it. A figure ran through my yard, coming down off the other side of the cabin like it had just jumped off the roof. It was bipedal, definitely walking upright, and it moved fast, like real fast. Maybe 4 to 5 feet tall, hairy, or wearing something that looked like fur. For a second I thought it might be a kid in a costume, but what kid is out in the woods alone at 3 in the morning in sub-freezing temperatures? The way it ran, that's what really stuck with me. It didn't move like a person. Its arms swung wide, and the legs didn't really bend, kind of like an animal trying to run upright. I saw it for maybe 2 seconds before it disappeared behind the trees. For reasons I don't know, I actually stepped outside with the flashlight, but found nothing. No prints, no noise. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I'm still going back and forth on what it could have been. A juvenile Bigfoot? Some prankster in a costume? Or something else? I thought maybe even a goblin-type creature. And yes, I know how that sounds. Believe me. But when you see something like that, and your gut says it wasn't human, it sticks with you. Anyway, I figured if anyone would be open to hearing this, it'd be you. Maybe someone else has seen something like it. If they have, I'd sure like to know. Stay safe out there, Eric B. P.S. I'm attaching a photo that I found online that shows the size of the creature that I saw. Still gives me the creeps. Alright guys, dig in. What can we tell Eric? For me, he comes across pretty credible. I mean, you never know anyone's true intentions, but he doesn't feel like he's up to something. The part that stuck out to me is how short this thing was, and the way it ran. What I picture is it being like a juvenile Sasquatch, and then it getting into the woods and its mom being like, "What the heck were you doing out there? I told you not to get on the roof." You know, like a kid that wants to dip his toe in the pool or a pond or something. The little guy just had to do it, had to run across the roof. Anyhow, put it down in the comments if you've had any interactions with a creature this size, even if it was the goblin. I'd love to hear more about that. Our first clip is from Trail Camera Dad, and he's captured some amazing footage. The video starts with the elk feeding on some low vegetation towards the end of the day. You can tell they sense something. Something is hitting their nostrils. One of the cow makes an alert sound, and they all take off. And here comes the lion through the brush. As we watch it again, the cow closest to the screen makes the alert, but her back is facing where the lion came from. I wonder how she knows not to run that way. I guess it could just be instinctual. I'd love to know what experienced elk hunters and wildlife enthusiasts think the reason is. I grew up in an area that had wild horses, so when I saw this trail cam capturing horses running midday, I was intrigued. As they gallop by, you can notice the foal bringing up the rear, and that's why they're running. I imagine the foal was the bear's target. It's always great to see a glimpse into nature, and further proof that unless you have 4 legs, it's pretty hard to escape a bear. This is an interesting video here. A young boy and his father are exploring in Yellowstone National Park. As they're admiring the beautiful elk, the boy spots a creature behind the elk. Dad zooms in on the elk grazing and slows the video down. Circled in red, you can see the creature in the background. It appears he's in between a cluster of logs, foraging for something maybe. It's a little too far away to see it clearly, but the boy and his dad were adamant that it was a Bigfoot. I'm not here to tell them what they saw, and honestly, I can't even tell. My only real hang-up is that if it were a predator, the elk don't seem to care much. It appears they don't even notice that something is back there. Or, if it is a Bigfoot, maybe they don't view him as a predator. I'd be interested in what you all think about this. And can anyone make out what that creature is? This is an absolutely incredible event. A man is awakened by some commotion on his deck, so he goes to investigate. And wouldn't you know it, a mountain lion is standing there and has killed and dragged an elk onto his deck. Unbelievable. As the man films, the lion gives him a hiss, hoping he'll leave and let him eat in peace. I'm so interested in how all of this went down. If the struggle took place nearby and the cat dragged the elk there, or if it took place right in the guy's backyard. What do you guys think the timeline of events was? You can faintly see some light blood in the snow as the lion walks away. I wonder if he has an injury. Most importantly, I hope the lion is able to eat this, as I know he or she expended a lot of energy to kill that elk. These apex predators fail much more than you might expect, so like I said, a lot of energy was burned. If it was me, I'd call some buddies, load it up in the truck, and drag it out in the woods and let nature take its course. Nonetheless, an extraordinary camera capture.
What the...
Okay, wait right there, baby. Daddy's gonna be right back, okay? And this...
I want to think this is a glitch, but I'm not so sure.
It was early morning and a dense fog still hung low across the forest floor when this man set out on his hike. As he moved through the trees, something stopped him cold. Just ahead, standing near the edge of the woods, was a dark human-shaped figure. It didn't move, it didn't speak, it just stood there. There was something deeply unsettling about its presence. He couldn't make out details, only the shape. And despite waiting and watching, it never shifted. At first, he tried to convince himself it was just the fog, kind of playing tricks on him. Maybe a tree, maybe a shadow. But the longer he stared, the less certain he became. Could it have been a person? Or maybe something else? Some have even suggested it resembles descriptions of Bigfoot, or something paranormal altogether. Whatever it was, it left a lasting impression, and more questions than answers. While hiking a secluded trail, a man paused to snap a few photos of the dense, overgrown brush. Looking back, the forest was quiet, almost unnaturally still, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary at the time. It wasn't until he reviewed the images later that something unusual caught his attention. In one photo, standing at the edge of an old wooden bridge, was what appeared to be a small child, completely alone. What disturbed him most wasn't just the figure itself, but the colors. The clothing showed flashes of red and blue, colors he insists were nowhere in sight during the hike. There was nothing in that area, natural or man-made, that matched, he would have noticed. Well, nothing visible, anyway. Though he's open to the idea of the paranormal, he tried to reason it out. Maybe a lighting glitch, maybe a person he somehow didn't see. But honestly, the more he analyzed it, the less sense it made. What he does know is that whatever he photographed that day wasn't supposed to be there. This next one comes from April, who recently shared an image that left many scratching their heads. She'd set up a trail cam deep in the woods, hoping to catch footage of deer or just the other local wildlife. And she did, but one photo stood out, and not for the usual reasons. In the still frame, a figure can be seen, tall, vaguely human, and staring directly into the lens. Now, here's the strange part. The rest of the image is crisp. The trees, the brush, the ground, all in focus. But this figure, it's blurred beyond recognition. Almost as if it was moving but couldn't fully be captured by the camera. She believes she may have documented something otherworldly, a ghost or possibly a cryptid. But before we draw conclusions, we have to ask the usual questions. Technical glitch, hoax, motion blur. Skepticism is always part of the process, and with digital tools becoming more advanced, photo manipulation is never off the table. Still, I will say, the raw eeriness of this figure, and the way it seems to peer into the viewer, gives this photo a haunting edge. So what say you guys? This next image has been making waves online, and cryptid researchers are fired up over it. The person who posted it made pretty big claims. This might be the clearest Bigfoot footage ever caught on a trail cam. And you know, at first it was kinda hard to argue. The fur detail is sharp, the posture looks natural, and the sheer size of this figure is intimidating. But take a closer look, especially along the left edge, where the figure meets the background. There's an odd blur, not motion blur, something digital. And that's where the debate starts. Trail cams usually don't render edges like that. It's clean, almost too clean. Some commenters are suggesting that it could be AI generated or digitally altered. I mean, these days high-resolution fakes are easier to produce than ever. However, others insist that this is finally the smoking gun, a non-blurry Bigfoot photo, something researchers have been waiting for. And they should stop hating. So what do you think? Groundbreaking evidence or another well-crafted fake? And honestly, if it is fake, what's the motive? Let's jump back to '94. Deduct Spring and Oregon's Blue Mountains. This old school footage has been making rounds in cryptid circles for decades. Camera shaking like crazy, dude is absolutely terrified. And for good reason. Just a few yards away, this massive figure appears. Walks like a human, but built like nothing you'd want to meet in the woods. Those arms are crazy long, and you can tell by how it moves that this thing has some serious weight to it. What's wild is how it completely ignores the cameraman, just strolls through the frame like it's no big deal, while this poor guy is having a panic attack filming it. Here's the kicker. This is '94 we're talking about. No fancy digital effects, no easy access to Hollywood-grade costumes. CGI back then pretty much looked like garbage, and this doesn't. I mean, yeah, could someone have put on a gorilla suit in the middle of nowhere, Oregon? Maybe. But that suit would have cost a fortune, and the movement, it looks way too natural. What's your call on this classic footage? Genuine Sasquatch caught on tape, or hoax before hoaxing was easy? Let me know. Up next is a case that rattled an entire neighborhood and left authorities just as baffled as the residents. Picture this. You're at home, winding down for the evening, when unsettling screams begin echoing down the street. Loud, persistent, and unlike anything you've heard before. For hours they continue. Eventually, someone calls the sheriff's office. When a deputy arrives, his body cam begins rolling. Now, what it records has sparked intense speculation. The neighborhood is quiet now. Too quiet. The screaming has stopped and the source remains unclear. As the officer begins his search, flashlight in hand, everything seems routine. Until it doesn't. Suddenly, the light reveals something strange, just for a moment. A pale figure with impossibly long limbs is seen at the edge of the frame before it bolts into the darkness. The officer gives chase, but finds nothing. Whatever it was, it's gone, but the footage remains. Paranormal researchers and online theorists have since pored over the clip. Some claim the creature's appearance bears an eerie resemblance to the rake, a humanoid figure often described in cryptid lore, emaciated, featureless, and fast. Still, others are skeptical. They point to the possibility of camera distortion, lighting tricks, or even digital manipulation. Could it have been a person, just caught at the right angle to look inhuman? Or are we thinking something else entirely? What makes this case especially chilling is the context. The unexplained screams beforehand, the silence when the police arrived, and then that fleeting glimpse. I'm gonna kick this one to you. Rare cryptid sighting, or just a well-timed illusion? On January 8th, 2025, the Haunted Finders team returned to a forest they hadn't investigated in nearly 3 years. The area had a reputation, one steeped in whispered warnings and strange sightings. This time, they would find out why.
See what we get on this. I'm going to leave the app running and stick it in my pocket so I can use my torch because it's absolutely pitch black.
Can you come close to us and make these lights go off, please? That's how we know that you're around us.
Not long after setting up, their spirit communication device, Spirit Talker, began spitting out cryptic responses, disconnected words, names, warnings, the kind of thing they'd learned not to ignore.
Here in my pocket to talk to us.
Beware of the dark.
Beware of the dark.
Thanks for that. We're in the middle of the forest now.
In the
Could have told
dark.
us down there.
Yeah.
We're on the main road.
Why do we need to beware? Is there somebody here that we should beware of?
As they pushed deeper into the woods, the air seemed to shift. Soft voices began to echo around them, whispers drifting through the trees with no clear source. Then came the first visual.
Is there somebody following us? A lot of different people have seen strange things in this forest. Are you one of those things? What was that a minute ago? Hello?
One of the first investigators spotted a shadowy figure in the distance. They paused, scanned the area, but it was already gone.
Hello? I just saw you. We're just here for a walk. We're not going to do anything, just shout back so we know you're there. That was a person. Hey?
I wasn't looking that way.
Oh, there's a car coming down the thingy trail. What's he doing down here? There's been no cars from down here the whole time we've been here.
And then it got worse. A man appeared, silent, carrying a lit torch. No flashlight, just fire.
What?
That was a scream. Holy shit, David.
A scream?
Did you hear the woman scream?
Yeah.
David, he's walking up. He's walking up the road. He's gone to the road. Get in the car. Oh shit. Open the door. Get in the car. Get in the car. A woman's just pissed and screamed and he's just creeping down the road, Law. Look at him, he's there. He's there on the road. Law.
Right. Get him, film him.
David, pull off.
What do you mean?
Start the car.
Without waiting to see what would happen next, the team bolted, locking themselves inside their vehicle as the man kept advancing. At this point, one thing was clear. He hadn't found them by chance. He had been watching, long before they ever noticed. Was he connected to the scream they'd heard earlier? Or was he there for something even darker? While hiking a quiet stretch of the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina, a woman paused to take a photo of the fog-draped landscape. She snapped a photo and kept walking, unaware that she'd captured something unusual. Later, when she reviewed the image, something caught her eye. There, partially obscured by the fog, was a figure, standing motionless in the middle of the trail. She was certain she had been alone. No voices, no footsteps, just the sound of her own breathing and the crunch of leaves underfoot. The presence captured in the photo didn't match anything she remembered from that morning. There had been no one ahead of her. Who or what was standing in the mist? A woman and her husband set out into the wilderness, hoping to document the strange lights that many believed to be unidentified drones. With cameras ready, they scanned the skies, expecting an ordinary night of skywatching. But what they captured instead was far from what they expected. Without warning, a scream tore through the forest. It wasn't distant either. It felt close, like too close. They froze. Was it someone in trouble? Could it have been an animal in distress? To this day, they're not sure what they heard that night. But they know it wasn't a drone. I've seen this clip a few times, and if it's anything, it's unsettling. Lizzie, an experienced hiker with a fascination for the Appalachian wilderness, had read all the horror stories tied to the region, but curiosity got the best of her. She and her friend Alexandria booked a remote cabin tucked deep in the woods. They had a great day. Everything was calm until around 2 a.m.
Mike?
Out of nowhere, a voice cut through the silence. It was a female's, desperate, then gunshots. They froze. The two friends had read enough to know the unspoken rule of the Appalachian Trail. Sometimes silence is the safest response. They stayed put, doors locked, lights off, not even daring to look out the window. But it begs the question, should they have called for help? Or did they avoid something far more dangerous by staying quiet? That part, we'll never know. What's up, guys? We start with two hikers in British Columbia who captured something truly perplexing. Their footage shows a dark figure walking upright across a snowy ridge in the distance. The guys emphasize that this video doesn't do it justice. They had a much clearer view in person, and what they observed left them baffled. But let's take a step back. Look at the environment. Deep snow, treacherous drops, no visible trail. Yet this guy over here, this creature, moves with remarkable speed and fluidity. No snowshoes, no backpack. I mean, anyone who's attempted any winter hiking knows how nearly impossible this terrain would be without proper gear. Correct, you could not move that quickly, no way. Some viewers suggest it's just an experienced mountaineer, while others point to the classic Sasquatch profile. Bipedal, powerful, adapted to wilderness conditions. And that's what the guys are leaning towards. The guys do admit that the most logical explanation might be an extremely skilled solo hiker, but their guts were telling them to upload this online and try to get some real answers. Let them know in the comments what you think this could be. This next submission comes from Marcus, a quiet email, short on details, but what he did share was enough to leave me uneasy. He said the photo came from his grandmother, a woman born deep within the wild interior of Brazil. Growing up, she rarely spoke of her childhood, except for some cryptic warnings. Not all bats are bats. Some wings carry the dead home. At the time, Marcus thought it was folklore. Brazil is full of strange legends, creatures that live in the dark. But after she passed, things got strange. Marcus found this photo while going through her things. Old letters, faded photographs, and then this. Two men standing at the edge of a misty lake holding up what looks like a nightmare brought to life. A massive, decaying creature with wings wider than a car. Skin torn, hanging like rotting cloth. A humanoid shape, but twisted and unnatural. I mean, the head, it's barely intact, maybe torn apart, maybe rotted. There was no date, just one thing written on the back of this photo in shaky, fading Portuguese. Water vampire. We should not have gone there. Marcus dug deeper and he asked his family, but no one knew a thing. In his own research, he discovered whispers. Deep in Brazilia's remotest jungles, stories locals fear to repeat. Creatures called abaruna, winged predators said to dwell in fog-covered lakes. Creatures who emerge only when disturbed. Some even claim that just speaking their name is enough to draw them to your door. Marcus says after he found the photo, things began happening. Wet footprints in the house at night, even though no one had gotten up. And during one storm, he heard something scrape across the roof. Not branches, but something heavy, leathery, dragging. To this day, he keeps the photo hidden. Not because someone might steal it, but because he fears what might come looking for it. And I'm grateful he sent it in. So what do you guys think? Is Marcus yanking our chain? Is this just an old family story gone wild? Or did Marcus's grandmother know something she never dared to say out loud? Not something you see every day when you look out your window. What at first appears to be a black ring of smoke still remains unidentified. News channels quickly picked up the story as videos poured in. To me, it looks like a flock of birds, and it reminds me of those turkeys that were walking in circles in a video I shared a few months ago. That was more ritualistic, but still, nonetheless, a coordinated effort. I really would love to know what's causing this right here, though. They're not in a complete circle. You can see there are some stragglers. If you have any insight, drop it in the comments. I don't think I've ever been more afraid of a mud puddle than now. I mean, these freaking dinosaurs, look at that. Video taken in southern Florida show that their mud puddles are a little different than everywhere else's. Now, this guy's in a truck, so if he had driven through this, he would have been fine. However, depending on where this road was located, what if a kid was riding by on a bicycle? Or heaven forbid, wanted to play in the mud puddle? The guy tests the water by throwing this water bottle in there, and boom, immediate attack. I can't imagine having to worry about that, my kids running outside to play and getting eaten by an alligator. Anyhow, these bad boys are living rent-free in my head for sure. It's just not safe to go in the water. Finally, a guy that's going to shed some light on it.
Alright y'all, listen up. I'm a native Florida man and fishing captain. I've dealt with sharks my whole life. I've come to understand them here in Florida. I wasn't scared of them, I'm not scared of them. But these videos are popping up in South Florida where great whites are showing up, attacking boats, attacking buoys. They're being caught, and it freaks me out. I actually had a snorkel charter this afternoon, and I called them up and I was like, hey, I'm not taking you snorkeling. I canceled on them because I'm actually afraid for people swimming out in the ocean right now. A lot of great whites being seen, and these things are not smart. Normal sharks we have in Florida, sandbars, bull sharks, lemon sharks, not really scared of them. When they attack somebody, it's mostly always mistaken identity, but these great whites seem to be attracted to floating things like buoys or boats, which also would include a snorkeler floating with a life jacket. So like I said, really scares me. Send this to your friends in Florida and be careful out there, y'all.
I might have told this story before, but I have a friend that works for the Marine Resource Commission, and he does helicopter flyovers. And we all grew up on the water, taking the boats out, all of that, fishing, and he says if we had known what was in that water, we would never have gotten in it. Anyhow, summer's approaching. Stay safe, my friends. A mail carrier minding her business, doing her job, delivering the mail to the people on her route. With her stuff organized, she drops the mail at this home and continues on. Well, as soon as she hits the sidewalk, she notices something and stops. And thank goodness she was focused and aware and didn't have headphones on or listening to music, talking on the phone. She may not have heard the branches break. This clip taken in Canada proves not all heroes wear capes. A lone firefighter has made it his mission to get this dog out of this water. Each second that slips away decreases the chance of this dog's survival. With a protective suit and the harness, the firefighter takes off. The owners are standing by as their dog is pulled to safety. Man, what an incredible capture. Now, I don't really know why this clip annoys me so much. It just does. I'll give you the backstory and I'll let you make your own determination. A photographer in Japan captured what people are saying is a gargoyle-like creature, sitting atop a power line. We see the wings, the misshapen head, the sharp-clawed feet. The guy filming said no one else around noticed it. However, there have been other instances all over the city. We see as it gets itself ready, and then it takes flight. Now, the thing with me is that it does look real if something like this were to exist. I just don't think it does. But let me know your thoughts. A tow truck driver in Tennessee claims to have caught something pretty crazy on his dash cam. Well, I guess he's not really claiming it. He got it on video. Rocking out to this music, heading to his next lot, this creature darts out in front of him. He eventually crosses the road and makes it into hiding. Now, there is one part of this clip that really stuck out to me as being more human-like. Check this out. As always, please let me know your thoughts. We start in a rural location where firefighters conducted a controlled burn of an old house. A TikTok user was filming the blaze when something unexpected appeared in the footage.
No, they're not there.
Grandma better be out there. We're out.
A dark humanoid shape moving swiftly through one of the rooms engulfed in flames. Look, it seems to dart across the burning inside, visible for just a few moments. What the heck? Some viewers are convinced this is evidence of a trapped spirit or ghost being displaced by the fire, burning it out of the house. Others insist it's simply smoke patterns, falling debris, or visual pareidolia. And while the fire is compelling, this humanoid drifting across the room is the real star. I'm pretty intrigued by how clear that silhouette appeared. I mean, old properties like this, they accumulate decades of history, stories. This building could have harbored secrets that no one will ever know. What if controlled burns sometimes reveal paranormal elements that normally remain hidden? Or is our mind simply programmed to identify human shapes in chaotic visual environments? I'll say this and then I'll shut up. The fire department's presence adds an interesting dimension. Professionals, they would have cleared the building thoroughly before igniting it. Nobody's in there walking around. I don't know, I guess it could be a visual effect, but I think there's something creepier here. This clip was sent into Reddit by Dan Seuss, who was just out enjoying a hammock camping trip with some friends. They hiked 5 miles into the Pennsylvania woods, way off the Allegheny Trail. Nobody else around, totally remote. So they're taking some pictures of the campfire and their setup, having a good time. And it's not until they get home and look through the photos that they notice it. Right there, behind the smoke. Figure just standing in the tree line watching them. Look at that silhouette. That looks pretty clear to me. Some people online are saying it's just smoke patterns playing tricks, but others are pointing out how clearly human-shaped it is. Ay with the smoke patterns playing the tricks, come on. Remember, they were miles from anywhere. Nobody else should have been out there. They're isolated, and they specifically mentioned they hadn't seen another soul all day. And they didn't see this person either. Until they looked at their cameras. All I'm saying is that's not somewhere you end up by accident. 5 miles into the woods, a couple miles off the trail. What do you think? Keep your head on a swivel. That could have ended way differently.